starting us off. This week, I don't know if you heard, but there was a spacecraft that made its way back to Earth.
Yeah, so from the headline that I saw, it was a Chinese spacecraft, correct?
Correct.
It was like the Chinese version of the ISS, is something like that?
Kind of. Not really. I mean, it was hefty. It was large. There were a couple crewed flights to it, but people weren't like on board it all the time.
Okay. So real quick before we get started, I was gonna do this same story.
So you know what that means?
That usually means we're gonna chug, but I decided not to do the same story so I could do some other stories.
But we're still
gonna chug because I wanted to do this one. So here we go.
Here we go.
You don't have to chug the whole thing. I'd say like a solid 10 seconds.
Okay.
Cool, Zayden.
That was 10 seconds?
No.
Okay.
But we'll chug more later on.
All right, sounds good. So, story comes by way of Nat Geo on my side. And they tweeted, let me find the tweet, hang on.
Nat Geo.
They said, after frenzied speculation about where and when its demise would occur, China's first space station disintegrated in the skies over the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
So
I saw a lot of buzz on the internet that it was gonna hit the Earth. And
yes.
that was the big storyline, that it's gonna hit Earth.
Right. So the whole week I kind of was following the lead up to this thing. The spacecraft is called the Tiangong-1, and it's a Chinese spacecraft.
Tiangong-1, yep.
They lost control of it in 2016, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been on what we call a decaying orbit ever since. So that means that
so by decaying, it's already in an orbit, but it's not stable. So while it's orbiting, it's losing some energy and it's falling closer and closer to Earth until it hits.
Right.
But it doesn't hit because we got a large layer of gas in between it, right?
Yeah, well, so the reason it's decaying is because there are very few sparse air molecules up in the highest upper atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And every time they hit the spacecraft,
it actually pushes it in just a little bit.
Yeah, it's losing a little bit of energy. And then eventually, it's kind of like this feedback loop where like it loses enough energy that it slowly kind of reaches more atmosphere, and then
it's like a
catapults
feedback and then it goes in. So that's what happened to it.
Yeah.
But it didn't make its way all the way to the ground, correct? As a solid piece?
That's the thing. Not as a full solid piece. Like
it definitely broke up in the atmosphere.
Yeah, would burn up because the atmosphere, it gets compressed, and that compression of gas rises the temperature to
real hot.
Yeah, to a point where it melts the metal that this thing was made out of.
If you've seen videos of it, you see stuff going through the atmosphere. It gets that super fiery hot red, burning it up.
So this past week,
yes,
the conjecture around this thing was, well, we kind of know where it's going to land,
but we don't really know
exactly where it's going to land. And that's a little bit dangerous because there were major cities that this thing was kind of orbiting above. Near. And if it happened...
And it was over the U.S., right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know Honolulu was definitely one city that could have been, saw some debris if it made it all the way down to the Earth's surface. And I just thought that it was kind of crazy how this sort of a thing was happening, yet so nonchalantly, sort of like, oh yeah, it's a thing that's gonna happen. Like, if you can see it, cool, but like nobody was really all that paranoid about it. And I feel like people get really paranoid about
all kinds of things.
Yeah, way less probable things to occur, especially like in the astronomy field. So,
something actually coming back, excuse me, and hitting Earth. When we were talking about Elon Musk's car, that's like millions of years, where this one was happening like the next day.
There was a day and date. They're like, it's going to happen on the night of April 1st, and everybody was like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So, okay. Did you see any stories of any debris actually affecting anything?
No.
I didn't either.
No.
So it probably broke up enough in the atmosphere where it was small enough to not really impact anybody.
That, and I know it came down...
in a more remote area.
In the Pacific Ocean.
Just
where... primarily a lot of spacecraft.
The Pacific Ocean's large.
Yeah, they
right?
do come down. They do, end up in the Pacific Ocean in this kind of one area, and that's just so happens where this one came down as well. So no threat to anybody. which is good. How do you feel about like placing any blame on this sort of thing happening, Tom? Like, obviously, it's an engineering flub on the
engineers who created the thing in the
yeah,
first place.
they lost contact with it, so they couldn't keep boosting it so that it would
It didn't decay
remain-
because of that.
Right, right. So do we like, you know, scold the Chinese, Tom, about this and to make sure that it never happens again? Because I mean, it's potentially dangerous, right? So
if there's a bigger one and something like that.
yeah,
Do we have enough space laws and like orbital laws?
yeah, I don't know.
I honestly don't know myself either.
Yeah,
But we probably should, right?
I guess.
Regulate it a little more when stuff's actually falling back to Earth.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah, and there's only going to be more. Right?
Yeah, yeah, a lot of things orbiting the Earth.
Yeah.
You
Pretty
know,
large things too.
It's a scientific testament that we were able to be like so
okay
good,
with what was happening.
and good about tracking it and monitoring it, knowing kind of where it is going to come down.
Mm-hmm.
The speed that it was going is what caused it to be so uncertain about like,
it was
exactly
so
where. But yeah, I thought that they did a pretty good job, at least monitoring it and knowing where it was going to come down. So, bravo, but also shame on you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?